Can I do the intro?
Yeah, sure. Try it. Go for it.
Hi, everyone. Sam Mewis here from the women's sport. Wait, what is it?
Oh.
The women's sports game. Hold on.
You don't even know what it's called?
From the women's game. Hi. Hi, everyone. Sam Mewis here from the women's sports game.
It's not called that.
What is it called? The women's
game?
The women's sports game.
What is the women's sports game?
The women's game. Okay, sorry.
You want to try one more time?
Okay. One more time. Hi, everyone. Sam Mewis. The women's game. The women's game. It's because I'm thinking about it now. Hi, everyone. Sam Mewis here from the women's game. We're going to go through everything that has to do with Australia, everything that has to do with the US. So let's get into it. We have Kristie Mewis with us.
Wow.
All right, now you do yours.
Am I like that annoying about it?
It's very like in your face.
All right, here we go.
All right, you go.
Hi, everybody. This is Going for Gold, brought to you by the women's game.
Oh, brought to you. I should have said that.
All right, I'm going to start over. We're going to start from the top. Obviously, all of this is going to be in it. Hi, everybody. This is Going for Gold, brought to you by the women's game. This podcast is all about the Olympics, and we're previewing every single U.S. women's national team match throughout this whole tournament. This episode is previewing the U.S. women's national team's third group stage game coming up against Australia. We're coming off a convincing 4-1 win against Germany. After beating Zambia 3-0, the U.S. is looking like they're in such great form heading into this next game. So I'm feeling really optimistic. I'm feeling really excited about this team. They've shown such great signs of growth and execution in the tournament so far, silencing all of us who were concerned about the lack of clinicality in the final third in the send-off games. Since we've already clinched a quarterfinal spot, we might see some changes to the lineup, and we're going to break down what to expect in this upcoming game. Luckily, we have someone with us today, very, very close to me, who has yet to join me on any of the women's game coverage. She's joining us to spill the beans on everything we need to know about Australia. It's Olympic bronze medalist, West Ham midfielder, my big sister, Kristie Mewis. Kristie, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
When you
said bronze medal, I wish my headphones weren't in so Sam could hear it.
Oh. Well, Sam is welcome to come poke her little head in anytime she wants. If you're watching this on YouTube, please make sure you're subscribed and that you have your notifications turned on. Kristie, are you subscribed to the women's game on YouTube?
Yes.
Well, we can do it together if you're not.
Okay. Let's do it.
Okay. Go on your phone, go to YouTube, search the women's game.
Are you subscribed to the women's game?
On Spotify.
On YouTube. Okay, so I go on YouTube.
Yep, go to YouTube.
Yeah.
Search the women's game, not the women's sports game.
I know what it is. I just was nervous and messed up.
I know. Okay, did it pop up?
Yep.
Okay, then
subscribe.
You hit subscribe. And then also hit the little bell to be notified. Everybody else out there. In. Oh, Jesus. We're going to move on. Everybody else who has followed those instructions that I just explicitly gave to my own sister, you are now subscribed and you're going to be notified whenever new content drops. This podcast is brought to you by our good friends at Allstate, who do so much for the game in the US and to whom we are so, so thankful. Okay, Kristie, we're really starting now, so pay attention. You are going to be watching this game with your fiance, Sam Kerr, Australian football's all-time top scorer, who sadly is missing from this Australia squad due to injury. What are the vibes going to be like at home in London in your apartment where you both play your club football, you both live together, but you're going to be watching this game, your country's national team versus her country's national team?
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty crazy. I feel like we try not to talk about it too much. But we have watched all the games together and it's been really fun, but I think it's also been a little bit emotional as well. But it's going to be pretty cool watching the game, of course, together. It's going to be interesting. I think, I honestly don't know how it's going to go because both of our competitive sides will just come out and we'll probably just make little digs here and there at each other and just, it'll be so fun. So I'm really excited to watch it with her and I think we're both enjoying watching more than we maybe thought we would.
Yeah.
So it's exciting and it's fun, and it's just so funny because like we played each other in the Olympics 4 years ago. And now obviously, unfortunately, we're watching at home this year, but it'll still be really cool.
It sounds like it will be cool to watch together. And like you just referenced, the last time the U.S. played Australia at the Olympics was in 2021 at the Tokyo Olympics. You and I were both on that U.S. team, and we actually beat Australia in the bronze medal match. Now, you and Sam Kerr are engaged. Sam was on that Australian team, and remember you like consoled her after the game, and it turned into this infamous and everlasting, quote, sportsmanship moment where somebody posted the picture of you guys like sitting down embracing and was like, what great sportsmanship. And then everybody was kind of like, I think the quote was, they're lesbians, Stacey. What do you remember about that game, about that moment, and winning a bronze medal, but knowing that the person you love was so sad to lose out on that?
Yeah, it was exactly how it kind of sounds it was. I mean, it was weird. It was such a weird time then too with COVID. Like everything was just so weird. Like I look back on that Olympics and I just like can't believe that that's kind of like how it went down. But it was obviously hard because I was really sad for her, but I was also like so happy for myself, of course, because that was a dream of mine to go to Olympics and get a medal and everything like that. So I didn't really like, we like laugh about it to this day, but I didn't really know how to console her because I feel like she like didn't want to be consoled, but I also couldn't not go up to her and give her a hug. But honestly, like that moment is still like one of my favorite pictures that we have together. Like I don't know who took it or, you know, like how they caught that in such a perfect moment, but I still love that picture so much just because it kind of just like shows two people kind of like caring and loving and just like being there for each other. So I still will always love that picture and it means so much to me. And yeah, again, it was very weird, but it's still obviously fun to win.
Yeah. There is so much love in that picture. And also just like a lot of really great sportsmanship. So Australia has been having a very weird tournament so far. They lost 3-0 to Germany, and then they beat Zambia in the final minutes of the game in a 6-5 game. It was like the equivalent to being overserved at the bar. It's just like, that's too much. Why are you giving us all this? This is crazy. So I want to pick your brain about Australia's performance this tournament a little bit later in the show. First, I want to dive into the U.S. women's national team. They've won both of their first 2 group stage games pretty handedly. Under Emma Hayes, this U.S. team has only played 4 games before this Olympics. They beat South Korea twice, then they played Mexico, and then they had a scoreless draw with Costa Rica. And the first Olympic game was pretty straightforward, 3-0 win over Zambia, but we were all kind of approaching this second Germany game with the idea that it was really one of the first big tests for this team under Emma Hayes, this European giant. But we rose to the challenge. We won 4-1 over Germany. I'm curious, these games that you've been watching under Emma Hayes, what's been your favorite thing you've seen so far in this U.S. team?
I think like, I feel like I like keep saying this line over and over again when people ask, but like, I feel like they have this like fire in them and they're like foaming at the mouth. Like that's how I would describe it, where I feel like maybe as a whole, like we as a national team have lacked that in the past, but like they're literally foaming at the mouth to win. They're foaming at the mouth to score, to defend, everything. So I don't know what it is that is like has been bubbling up inside of them, but you can tell that all of them are just like so on, so ready. Like they look like they have so much fight, and like everyone's just gonna like rage on the field. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. Do you feel like that's more a result of, I don't know, where these players are at? Is that something you think Emma has brought? Like, where do you think that fire and that foaming at the mouth is coming from?
I don't know. Like, that's a good question. I feel like maybe in the past, like people haven't felt like they've been able to like show who they really are. I think there's been like some injuries, some like confidence stuff, just as a team as a whole and certain individuals and stuff. Like Mal, of course, she was injured and she comes back and she looks better than ever. I just feel like it's probably a combination of the two. Like, I think that some of the core girls that have been on this team for a really long time have been kind of like waiting for someone like Emma to come in and like really like pump them up. And I think that from what I've seen that she's done at Chelsea, just from like an outside perspective, Sam has obviously played under her for so many years. It's just like she has a way of motivating people and getting the best out of people. So I feel like the combination of those two is just what is creating what we're seeing. Because I was so shocked with the Germany game, honestly. Like, I thought that it was going to be a little bit of a closer game. And of course, like, the US were under the pump a little bit, like in certain moments, but I never felt uncomfortable. Like, I never felt like they didn't have control of the game. So I felt like super comfortable, and like the girls looked just like so fiery and so energetic, and it was really cool to watch.
Yeah, I totally agree. And that's really cool to hear. I think I agree that Emma Hayes is almost giving them permission to like make mistakes and be themselves and try things. And they do look really fiery and really motivated. And I love seeing that. The attack has been so lethal. 7 goals across 2 games, all scored by the forwards. And that front three that's been starting, Mal Swanson, Trinity Rodman, Sophia Smith, are stepping into those roles that it's kind of like, we've got it. Like, we're going to score. Lynn Williams subs on, she scores. What do you think goes into being able to play with that level of confidence? Like, I've got the team on my back. And have you ever had a period in your career where everything was just going right? Can you describe what it feels like when you're just like playing like out of your mind?
It's like confidence is like such a crazy weird thing, because I feel like it can like ruin if you don't have confidence. It can just like ruin everything and like ruin you. And then if you do have confidence, it can like literally change your life. I feel like probably the time that I felt the most confident in myself was there were like months after I tore my ACL, when I was like starting to come back and like really starting to show like who I was and what I could do. And I feel like that was like the moment where I played the best in my career. I was scoring goals. I was getting assists. I was defending my ass off. I was just like fit as fuck. And like that can just like change everything when you're like in that zone. And I think it's just like, it all comes back to, I always lean back on consistency. Like, the more consistent you can be with your confidence, the more consistent you can be with anything. That is what separates you from everybody else. So I feel like if you like add that on into this team, it's just like everyone looks so confident. Like, there were times, like, I'm going to say her name, but there are times with Trinity where like she wasn't confident and you could tell. And now she's like flying and just like so dangerous. She's doing things that nobody else can do. And she looks absolutely incredible. And she's so fun to watch. But I think that like obviously confidence is up and down, and she's like doing so well right now. And I'm like absolutely love watching it.
I know. I feel so similarly when you talk about confidence. It's like when it was always, I think that I always, even when I was playing so great, I'd like score a couple goals and I'd be like, yeah, like whoever was in that position, of course would have scored that goal too. So I don't know that I ever was like bubbling over with confidence, but when you're in great form like that, those things just happen and they feel easy. So it makes you kind of be like, yeah, of course somebody would have dribbled by 2 people and scored from 25 yards out. But in actuality, it's like, no, they wouldn't have. Like, you're just in great form right now. And like, only you could have done that in that moment. And that's what I see Trinity's turn on top of the box.
Yeah.
It was probably like, that felt easy. I just passed it in after that. But it's like, you had to like almost have the balls to do that in that moment. And not very many players would have. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And that's what confidence is. It's like, you're allowing yourself to do things that like almost like your subconscious knows that it can do. But sometimes when you're not confident, you're like, oh, I have to like make sure I do this perfectly and complete the pass, or I like have to just take the easy way out. Like, I have to do the touch that I know is going to work. Like, that's what confidence is just like allowing your subconscious to come through.
For sure. And I want to go back to Emma Hayes a little bit with this, because it seems like it is her coaching style or maybe her managerial style that these players are relaxed a little bit. They're playing a little bit more freely without that fear of making mistakes. And so I want to know, again, as somebody who has been kind of close to Chelsea for a long time through Sam, what do you think it is that kind of distinctly marks a team as Emma Hayes' team? Like, what do you think the traits are of one of the teams that she coaches?
I feel like they just they always have pulled through, like even if they play like shit or like even if like so many people are injured, like they don't have their best lineup out there, like whatever the situation is, like they always pull through and somehow get a result. And of course, like, I mean, they lose sometimes and like they don't always play well, but like they somehow always pull through and get a result. And they all this year, like they won the league. How? Like with the way that the league was going. It was just like crazy that they pulled through and did that. And it's just like, I think it's just the confidence and like, it's almost like just having her behind you is like what makes you know that it's going to happen. At least that's just like my outside perspective of it.
Like her presence instills confidence.
Yeah, exactly. Like her just standing on the sideline in the games, I'm just like, oh, like they're going to, like you almost just like, you feel way different with her standing there. Like it's.
So are you saying that you think the US is going to win the Olympics?
I mean, if they're playing, yeah. Like if they're playing like this for the rest of the tournament, yeah. And they should.
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Well, the team is definitely clicking at the right time. Emma's influence has set us up for success really early on in her tenure. Again, now she's only coached 6 games for this team. But we both know the Olympics is such a battle. And so we feel this confidence from Emma. What are you looking for her to continue to do? Like, what kind of leadership do you think matters the most to the players in a tournament setting like this?
I think consistency, honestly. Like, I know I like have keep using that, but like consistency with her coaching, with like even consistency in the lineup. Like this is working right now. Mm-hmm. Like just keep like get players on that are performing. Mm-hmm. Like just consistency through the rest of it. Like I feel like all the girls right now who are playing are just like so informed. It's also meshing so well together. Yeah. Like I feel like the lineup that she has in the formation that they're in is just like really working. And again, it's only been 2 games. I mean, of course they have more to show, but I think the consistency of the lineup and the formation and she's not really backing down in what she's doing. Like they're playing how the US should play. Like they're not adjusting to like try to play like the other team or like playing to, what's the word I'm looking for? Playing to line up like, against the other team. Yeah. Like, you know what I mean? But I feel like she's just like, no, like you guys are all the best players. Like teams are just going to have to fall to us. Yeah. And I feel like that's the confidence that
exactly. That's like the ultimate confidence giver. The ultimate confidence giver is like, you're good. Go do you. We're not adjusting to anybody else. So I love that. I think that's a really good point. I want to talk about a couple of U.S. players, one of them being Emily Sonnett. So, Kristie, I feel like there was this time for you on the national team where you were seen as a versatile kind of utility player. You could have played outside back or left wing or midfield. But I always remember talking to you about how being so versatile kind of gives you less opportunity to stake your claim on one position. And I bring this up because we saw Emily Sonnett sub in for Tierna Davidson yesterday in the first half. And I'm just so impressed with the way she's been able to handle playing this role, this versatile player. Sometimes she's a 6, sometimes she's a center back, sometimes she's an outside back. I think it's so vital from the team. And I want to hear from you, a former utility player yourself. How do you see Sonnett influencing this team and how important is she to this U.S. team during the Olympics?
Yeah, I mean, Sonnett is just like, she's just like the like, I would pick her for anything. Like she is so like tapped in the best way possible. Like I would play her as the 9. Like honestly, like she can play anywhere at any time and because she's just like, yes, like she's just so tapped and like so ready to go at all times. Like, and she is so dedicated to like just doing what the team needs.
Yeah.
It is like she is so important to the team, I think, on and off the field. Like on the field, like you can rely on her for anything. Off the field, like she is always pumping everybody up. She's always making jokes. And sometimes like the team like gets so serious and it gets so like you almost get wound up when you're there. And then you just like look at Sonnett and she'll like crack a joke and you immediately like come back down to earth. And I think just like she like I was dying laughing at her coming on the field yesterday or whatever day it was. But she runs on and she always does this thing. And she's like, I think she's like nervous. So she does this thing with her two fingers and she's like looking around. Does she not do that? Like she's making sure everyone's like where they need to be. And she's just like,
it's like how she absorbs information. Is she's like, okay, I'm going to go in. I'm going to play center back. I got to move this person here. We got to do this. We're doing this. We're winning. It's the first half. Like that's what I imagine her brain is saying. Is like, this is the messaging that I got from the coach and I have to share with this person. And
but it's almost like she's like checking to make sure like everyone's in place. Like she's just, and that's like her job. And I also think it's just like I think she's kind of like, oh my God, I'm like on the field right now. Like I need to focus.
Yeah, she's getting all the wires connected to the right spots.
Yeah, but I like saw her running on the field and I was just like, oh, like this is fine. Like she like knows exactly what to do at all times. Like she knows how to like yell at people when they need to be yelled at, move people where they need to be moved to. Like it's immediate, just like boost of confidence, I think, for everybody when she comes on. Which is
totally agree.
Like, it's so important. Yeah.
And
especially in that moment.
I always feel that way with her too. Wherever she's subbing on, she has so much experience playing all over the field that it's like she knows the roles of every position. She knows where she needs to be on set pieces for every position. She could tell somebody else where they need to be. Like her experience and her versatility make her so important for this roster. And for exactly the reason when Tierna Davidson needs a mid-game sub, that's why Emily Sonnett is here, is like she can fill that role. And I think the importance of that role gets almost diminished because she's not a regular starter, but the team can't go on without her. Like she is so, so important and vital. I love what you said. Another player I want to chat about is Crystal Dunn, who actually hasn't been starting as much for the U.S. this year, but she started both of these Olympics games as an outside back over Jenna Neiswanger, who had been playing left back almost every game this year. You and I have both played so much with Crystal. I feel like we kind of grew up with Crystal. So I want to hear you talk a little bit about what kind of energy Crystal brings to the team.
Yeah, I mean, Crystal, I mean, she's kind of like another utility player, honestly. Like you could put her anywhere and she would be phenomenal. Crystal I mean, she's just so like she can just like move her body, like make any pass, like get to any ball. Like she is just honestly like one of just like the core girls on that team. I think like she brings so much like intense energy, like, and I think it's just like an intensity that sometimes like as the game's ebbing and flowing, you kind of need like a moment or like a visual of someone doing something like just so intense or like so quick or like so explosive. And I always like notice that about Crystal. I'm also super impressed with just how like calm, cool, and collected she is. Like she's she's very much playing like a leader, like a vet. Like she looks like she just has so much wisdom as she's playing out there. And I also know that she played under Emma too, like years ago when she was at Chelsea. So I think she honestly feels like kind of a sense of calm and a sense of like confidence because I think she knows that Emma believes in her so much.
I think that's a really good point, that she almost has this foundation that Emma really values her, and that's enabled her to really step up and like play and take on this role, even though maybe not starting for many of the games leading up to this tournament could have taken a little bit of her confidence, but it didn't. She's here. She's performing really great. I think that's a really good point. So obviously the Olympics are off to a great start for this US team, but there are definitely more difficult tests coming up. We have 2 wins under our belt. We've scored 7 goals. We've only conceded 1 goal. But Kristie, is there anything that you've seen that feels like a potential vulnerability that you want to see improved upon? Obviously, no team is perfect. So I guess if you had to name a potential weak spot in this U.S. team, what do you think that would be?
I mean, I think obviously, like, you can say this about so many teams, but like when you make a mistake or give the ball up in a moment of like transition or just in like a crucial moment of possession, that could be an issue in the future as the tournament gets harder. But I think, I mean, you can say that about any team really, but like in those vulnerable moments, like who is going to be the most focused to like not let those happen. So I really think that would be like a game changer for them. But honestly, like they look pretty good, and like I don't really have a lot to complain about.
I know.
It's also hard to, and I'm sure you feel this, but it's like hard to like say stuff about them because it's just like we both know how hard it is to be there, and we both know how hard it is to be on any team at the Olympics. Like it's just difficult. But they look friggin' good, and like I'm so excited to watch the next game.
You obviously have unique insight into this Australia team, but you've also played against them. What is Australia like as an opponent? Like, what do you remember feeling when you would play against them?
Oh God, I feel like they're kind of like scary, honestly. And like Sam just left to get food, so I feel like I can say this now, but they're actually like scary because they're so like athletic, they're so fast, and like when they're on, they're on. Like, yeah, I don't think they've put in like two really great performances, and they know that. But when they're on and they're like ready to fight, I think it's scary. Like they are so good when they're on. So I think it's obviously going to be a really tough game because they're going to be like fighting for their lives for this one.
Do you think that fight is like one of the hallmarks of that Australian team, is like their mentality?
Yeah, I think so. Like every time I watch them, if they're like put themselves in a difficult situation, like yesterday, they put themselves in, was it 3-1 at halftime?
Yeah, but then I think at one point it was 5-2.
Yeah, and they
were down 5-2 in like the 55th minute.
Yeah, and they do put themselves in these situations, which obviously is an issue. And I don't know sometimes how they put themselves in those situations, but like they always, like when they crawl out of it, it's like insane. Like what they did yesterday, like Zambia scored 5 goals on them and then they somehow scored 6. Like that is just the craziest thing ever. And it's so funny. Like I forget I think the score at halftime was literally 3-1. And Sam was obviously like, oh my God, like what's happening? And like, she was getting like just a little bit nervous at halftime. And I was like, you can win 6-5. And I literally said that at halftime. And that was the score. How funny is that?
What did she say at the end of the game? Like, how did you know?
No, I think she like, I don't really know if she was like listening to me, but I did say it. I did say it. Like, I guess I don't have a witness, but I did say it. And I was just kind of being like, haha, like, you never know. But it actually happened. But I wouldn't have said that if it wasn't any other team, because Australia somehow does stuff like that. It was like I feel like in the past, like, they're sometimes losing and then they come back and like miraculously win. Like they're just good at like grinding it out and fighting. And that's what's scary to me about them.
Yeah, I actually think they're one of there's only a handful of teams I think that can match that mentality of the US team, that like we're going to win or we're going to die mentality. And I think at times when I've played against Australia, I have felt that from them. Their head coach, Tony Gustafsson, who I played for at the 2019 World Cup as the assistant. And Kristie, you're really familiar and you played for Tony as well. He said this after the game. He said, quote, "This is not the time to dwell on how we conceded 5 goals because obviously that was bleep. This is the time to talk about the spirit in this team." And so I think this is actually something really crucial to this Australian identity. It's like they've had obviously less than perfect performances, but they have something intangible that lets them keep fighting kind of against all odds. And I'm wondering if Sam speaks to that. Like, does Sam think that that's an integral part of the Australian national team's identity?
I think so, 100%. And I think that that's like one reason why she loves playing for them so much, that they have this like, I don't know if I would like necessarily call it like an underdog mentality, but it's like they have this like fight in them that I feel like is a gift. Like not a lot of other nations have it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think when other teams like start to lose, like you automatically have this switch in your brain. Like you tell it not to switch off, but like I think a lot of people do switch off and they're like, oh, like this one's lost. Like we're losing this game. But I don't think that Australia has that. At least that's what it looks like. Like it looks like they actually genuinely never give up and they know that they can do it and they do somehow always do it. But it's like a freaky switch that I think that they have and they like don't turn off, and that's why they were able to do what they did.
Well, it's definitely something for us to keep in mind as US fans. Even if we get a lead, like we can't turn off either. Like this is going to require a lot of focus from us to make sure that if we get ahead, we don't let Australia back in the game. I want to ask you a little bit more specifically about Sam's role. You're engaged to Sam Kerr. She's been the face of Australian football for as long as any of us can remember. Talk to us a little bit about Sam's role for Australian football, how important she is as a player to this team. And then I might get into like how much they are missing her this tournament. But tell us like who Sam is to Australian football.
She is like, I don't know how to like put this without just like completely just like being all melty about her. But I feel like she is just, she's like there. I don't know how to put it. I don't know how to put it.
Spit it out.
I don't know how to put it. She's asking like who you are to like the Matildas.
Sam Kerr.
I'm Sam Kerr, bitch.
I mean, she's just like, she's obviously their captain, so I feel like so many people look up to her, but she's been playing on the team for so long, and she's so, like, she's powerful in her own way. Like, she's also just so down to earth that I feel like people look up to her in that way. Like, yes, she's, like, the star of the team, and she is, like, has been on the team for so many years. She scores so many goals. She's the captain. Like, everyone looks up to her, but it's just so much more than that. Like, people lean on her for everything, but like in a good way. And she always handles it so well. And I think that one amazing thing about her is she's just like a fearless captain. Like she'll always put the team and the Matildas before herself, and she'll do anything for her teammates. And it's really, really like inspiring to see that someone like of her stature can be so humbled and care so much about others and always put where she's from first. Like she has so much pride in her country and where she's from. And it's like so amazing to watch and like just see how she carries herself. So I think everyone like looks up to her in that way.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely look up to her. I think that Sam's ability to lead, to perform so well, and to maintain, like you said, such a humble and down-to-earth personality is it's very, very rare. And it goes without saying that this team is missing her at this tournament. Of course, there are other players that can step up and lead. There are other forwards that can step up and score goals. But Sam really is kind of the North Star of this Australian national team. She has been for a long time. So what do you see? This is a hard question. Like, what do you think they need to do to try to fill her shoes while she's injured and missing this tournament? And can they?
I mean, no. I mean, they obviously can't replace her or like can't. Like, I just don't think anything or anyone is the same as what she brings. But they have so much talent on that team. Like, all of the players are so good and they bring so much. And I think that they need to just highlight I feel like it started coming out in the end of the Zambia game where they started kind of like playing more like Australia. And again, this is just like what I'm seeing, but I feel like in the first game and then in kind of the first half of the Zambia game, they were kind of like trying to like maybe be something that they aren't. But then I think at halftime they were like, we got to just go for it. And they have like, they have such like a fight about them. I keep saying a fight, but it's like it's like a rawness and just like a fight, and that's what came out at the end, and that's why they won. So I think they kind of need to just like lean into that, because that's what's getting them results at this point. I know it might not be like the most like beautiful football that they want to play, but when they play towards their strengths and what they're good at, they are scary.
Yeah, and really, really difficult to play against. I think one of the bright spots in this team has been actually your West Ham teammate, Katrina Gorry. She's been extremely influential for Australia. Kind of the lone bright spot in the loss to Germany, consistently positive. So I want to hear from you as her club teammate. What's she like as a teammate, and what should we look out for when she's up against our midfield for the US?
She's a midfielder that you just like hate playing against, because she just like is an energizer bunny. She's so fit. She's so aggressive. Like, I hate playing against aggressive midfielders, because I'm just like, stop doing that. Like, stop tackling me. Stop taking the ball from me. Stop making me look bad, basically. And that's what she does. And it's so annoying. But obviously when she's on your team, you're like, all right, like, I'm good. Like, she's coming nowhere near me. Like, she's going to do all the slide tackling and like pass me the ball. She's like one of those, that's how I think that she
does all the dirty work.
Yeah. She does all the dirty work. And I think she's one of those people that kind of like, you don't realize like how important they are until they're not there. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Wow. Well, yeah, I'll definitely be keeping an eye on her in the game against the US. Australia's also been trying to fill the goal scoring gap that's left by Sam Kerr while she's recovering from injury. They have some good options. Arsenal forward Caitlin Ford, Man City attacker Mary Fowler, and Canberra United forward 36-year-old Michelle Heyman, whose story is actually so incredible. She came out of retirement. She was battling physical and mental challenges, so she stepped away from the game. She's been outspoken about that. And then she makes this Olympic squad. She scores the game-winning goal in the crazy win over Zambia the other day. Kristie, what do you know about Michelle Heyman's journey, and what do you expect to see from her the rest of the tournament?
Well, I played with her when I was at Canberra United for like a half a second, but I mean, she did great. Like, she came in and did what she was supposed to do. And I think as like coming off of the bench as a substitute 9, like, you're supposed to come on and make an impact, and she scored a goal and they won the game. So I thought I honestly don't know too much about her story. But it is pretty cool. I mean, she was out for so long and she comes back, and now she's able to impact at a major tournament like this. It's pretty cool.
It's really cool. I'll definitely be keeping an eye on her. Elsewhere on the field for Australia, we have Steph Catley and Ellie Carpenter, 2 stalwarts for this team that lead from the back line. Steph Catley stepped up huge to take a penalty kick in that Zambia game. She actually scored 2 goals and got 2 assists in the 11-goal game. Steph Catley is our Allstate player to watch for this USA versus Australia game. Kristie, can you describe what Steph is like as a leader and how she'll be helping this team get over the emotional roller coaster that they've been on to prepare for this game against the US?
Yeah, I think just watching Steph, she definitely is kind of a leader of example. I'm of course, I don't know like how vocal she is or how she leads off the field, but to me, she definitely leads by example. She's always getting stuck in. She always looks composed. I think she knows, she knows how to lead the team and kind of do the right things at the right time. And I think she's great. Like, honestly, those 2 goals, like, she deserved them. She worked so hard, and she's definitely someone to watch. She's very, very good.
When you think about the game overall, where are you going to be watching the most closely? Like, what part of the field do you think this game will be won or lost?
Oh, that's a good question. What do you think?
I think out wide. I think because our forwards have been so lethal and so dangerous in creating goals, I'm like really, really eager to see how Mal and Trinity can create and get crosses off up against really, really talented outside backs. So I think the game is going to be won and lost out wide.
No, I mean, I completely agree. I feel like that's like both of these teams like strengths right now. Yeah. And like kind of like where they're kind of like getting down the field in their game. So I think that, Well said, Sam.
I want to take a moment and look around at the rest of the tournament. Group A has been full of drama as we've watched the Canadian players battle through the drama of a drone spying scandal. They've lost their head coach. They've had multiple staff members sent home. They've been accused of cheating. And then they've come up and they've won both of their games anyway, despite all this turmoil. I heard an interview with Vanessa Gilles after their win against France. She scored a goal and she seemed exhausted. She was like, we've been crying. We haven't been sleeping or eating. Like, we're so devastated that this is being accused of us as players. And she said, quote, we're not cheaters. We're damn good players. I want to ask you, Kristie, about when you hear that as a player, like what's the human toll that going through something kind of dramatic and like horrible like this? What is that human toll that's this situation is having on these Canadian players? What would that feel like?
Yeah, like when I heard about this, I immediately like said out loud, I was like, oh my God, like I would be so upset and like so devastated because I just like, you would obviously like immediately just feel like shit. Like,
yeah,
how is this happening? Like, I obviously don't know the whole ins and outs of it about like how it happened and like, was it just behind everyone's back? Like, I don't really know, but it was just like hearing that, I was like, oh my God, like how would I feel in that situation? Like you would just feel so like deflated and defeated and then getting the points taken away. Like,
I know,
like that is just like so horrifying. But I mean, what they're doing right now, and I mean, they're winning and like, they must just be like fighting for themselves. They must just have like this feeling of like, we can do this. Like, we need to get through this. Like, this isn't going to define us, which is like really, really cool. Like that they're fighting this hard to not let this define them. So, I mean, good for them. And like, you could just see it exactly what you said. You could just see it on their faces after that win, like how emotional and how hard it must be. But I hope they know what they're doing is like pretty cool. And like, I really respect all of them for performing like that and like beating France. I mean, it's insane and like good for them. Honestly, I'm glad that they're fighting and I'm sorry that they feel kind of let down by their federation.
Well, yeah. I mean, of any emotions I feel about this, it's at their federation for putting them in this position. Like the US and Canada have such a strong rivalry that it's like, yeah, am I pissed that we like lost to them? Yeah. But like they played great against us at the Olympics in 2021. They like work their asses off. They went on to win the gold medal. Like they have such a chemistry and a tight knit bond as a team that I have a lot of respect for them, even though we've always been such rivals. I feel like those players are like really great people and I believe them when they say they didn't know about it. So the emotions that come up are like, I'm so annoyed at the Canadian Federation for being like, yeah, we need to cheat to win, or we need to use drones, or we need to do like, you put your players in such a terrible position and it's so unfair. And yeah, I like kind of agree with you, Kristie. Like the players are kind of like, what can we do but just like try to win and redefine this for ourselves? So it's a terrible situation. But humanly, they must just be so exhausted. I mean, playing in a world tournament is so draining on its own and then have to deal with this really public scandal, losing their coach, being accused of cheating. They must just be like so drained.
It also kind of bugs me because it's like, I feel like the coaches in the federation were like, oh, we don't believe in you guys. Like, we have to cheat. Like, that's kind of hard to swallow too.
Yeah.
So I feel like that kind of made me feel like yucky a bit too. I'm like, your guys are just proving that you guys have to do this to win, which is like, was it really worth it for this to happen type of thing?
Yeah, the whole thing is such a nightmare, and I do feel for the players. The other thing I want to note from this Group C, is France, who so far honestly haven't really held up their end of the bargain, considering they're the host nation. Like, they were up 3-0 over Colombia in their first game, but then they allowed Colombia to score 2 goals. They won 3-2, but it was a lot less convincing than a 3-0 win. Then they lose to Canada. And that group is all over the place points-wise because Canada had this points deduction and the games have been kind of all over the place. So I feel like France is going to go through, but I don't necessarily know what to expect from them moving forward. Marie-Antoinette Katoto now has 3 goals in the tournament, so she's performing. But France is going to have to like shift into gear if they want to stand on the podium at their home Olympics. So my question for you, Kristie, is this is tournament football. Can France or any team just survive to the knockout rounds and hope that they find form when they need to? Or do you actually think that momentum is what carries you and that starting strong is really, really important?
I think it's more difficult to like have a slow start and expect to get better, because I feel like it's just kind of like a knock-on effect. Like when something doesn't go your way, you're like, oh my God, we're going backwards still. It's just like a constant like cycle, or like, oh, we're just holding on. Oh, like we still held on. Like I feel like momentum is like kind of what you want in tournament football. But I mean, it's been done, of course, like not having the best start and then winning at the end. Like it's been done, but I think it's much harder than feeding off of momentum. Like momentum, I think in tournament play is like what kind of like makes you keep foaming at the mouth.
I know what you mean. I think in my 2 major world tournament experiences, winning the first game 13-0 definitely set us up momentum wise for the rest of the tournament. That was in 2019. We ended up winning the World Cup. Compared to our shared experience at the Olympics in 2021, we lost the first game to Sweden. And I think we came back to win bronze, but I feel like that feeling of like, oh, we're capable of losing 3-0 at this tournament kind of haunted us throughout the tournament. And it was harder to dig out of that kind of hole.
It's like a mental hole, yeah.
It's a mental hole. So I think you're right, easier to ride the momentum, but at the same time, if you can turn on form at the right time, you can create that momentum whenever you find it. I want to talk about Group C really quickly. Japan had an incredible comeback against Brazil that included a PK and then this incredible shot from distance in stoppage time by Tanakawa. In the other game, the Nigeria-Spain game, I was really impressed with Nigeria's ability to defend Spain and keep them scoreless in the run of play. But the thing with a team like Spain, especially right now, is that they have so many layers and so many ways that they can score. And so Alexi Putellas was able to score a wonder goal off a wide free kick and make up for Spain's inability to score in the run of play by scoring on a set piece. Kristie, as a fellow left footer with a rocket shot, what do you think when you watch Alexia play?
She's just like, she's consistent, one, which I know I keep saying that word. And I think like, obviously after her injury, it's taken her a bit to kind of like get back into form. I think she had like a little bit of like a tough road. But she's so consistent. She's so dangerous and she's so confident in her ability. And I mean, to hit a shot like that was just insane. Like
she's like on the sideline.
Yeah, I just like feel for her so much. Like I'm sure that her road just hasn't been easy, and I'm sure there was so many ups and downs, and I feel like she's kind of like finally feeling back towards herself, that she's like, again, I mean, like I said earlier, like the confidence thing, like once you start feeling like you can do stuff, and then like you can just do stuff like that. Like she has the skill and the ability to do that, but like sometimes your brain doesn't allow you to know it and to think it, but you can really tell that she's starting to come back into her own, and it's really fun to watch. Like she's unreal.
Yeah, I think that Spain is definitely a front runner in this tournament. Before we wrap up this episode with some final thoughts on the US-Australia game, Kristie, I just wanted to briefly chat about our time at the Olympics together. The bedroom that we shared in Tokyo, we were together again, like it was family vacation, sharing a room. We got bronze medals. When you think back on that experience, like what memories like still stand out to you? What do you remember most about being together in Tokyo?
I just like still can't believe we like shared a room and like had our little twin beds like just right next to each other. Were they fully together and we would have to like separate them?
I think
or were they already separated?
I think there was maybe a little table in between us. Or did we have to drag the beds apart?
Yeah, I just remember like you and your iPad like right next to me and my iPad, and we'd like occasionally pause our iPads to like rant about something or like chat about something, and then we'd both like lay there and we'd press play again, and then like I'd look up and you'd be like, and like you'd be asking me something, so I'd pause my iPad and then we'd like chat about something, and like you always had to like have your iPad like in the same spot.
Yeah.
And you would be like, okay, I'm starting my iPad. And it was just always like, and then obviously like the infamous night that you like slept talked or like there was like a mini earthquake in the room.
Oh my God, the earthquake.
Yeah, do you
I
remember
always forget
that?
about the earthquake. Okay, so everybody who doesn't know, we like legitimately experienced a small earthquake in Tokyo during the Olympics.
I thought it was the infamous night she snuck into the staircase to tell me she loved me.
But wait, the earthquake. Back to the earthquake. We experienced this like overnight.
Let me set the scene. So like obviously it's the middle of the night. Sam and I are both asleep. I'm a light sleeper, so like I started to feel just like a little bit of like shaking. And I kind of like sat up a bit and I was like, okay, this is weird. Sam like shoots up like this, like literally like shoots up in bed. He goes, Kristie. And what did you yell again? You were like, is this an earthquake? Is this an earthquake?
Did I even no? Like, I'm just wondering how I would have possibly known it was an earthquake.
Or what did you say? Oh no,
I don't know.
No, are you? Oh my God, you did yell about the earthquake, but then after that you said, "Are you having an like? Was this the? Are you having an okay time?"
That was a different night when
we're getting the stories wrong.
We're getting the stories mixed up, which is fine. There was an earthquake.
But you did yell when there was the earthquake, and then you just like immediately went back to sleep, and I was just kind of like, I was like up after that because I was like, is she okay?
Yeah, it was. I do have a tendency when I get like scared in the night, I like jolt, and then I'm like, I go back to bed.
Yeah, you were jolting. But what was the? Are you having an okay time? Moment?
That was like the first night. So we had our own rooms for like weeks, and then we were like together. So you know when you're sleeping with someone and you get like self-conscious that your movements or breathing is gonna like keep them up. So you lay there like a board, and you don't play your iPad to put you to sleep, and you don't take a sip of water, and you don't breathe because you don't want them to not sleep.
I know. Like, how did you
Olympics?
Do that?
And I was like, I don't want to like keep her up. So like I'm up. It's now like 2 a.m. I've been laying there for 4 hours like a board, thirsty, and had to pee. And then eventually you rustled a little bit. You just like rustled around in your bed a little bit. And I assumed that you weren't sleeping either. But I didn't want to like put that in your head. So I just went, are you having an okay time? And you were like, what? Like, no, what? I'm sleeping. Like, shut up.
I think you were like half asleep. That's why you said that. Like, you wouldn't normally say that. Like,
I know it was such a weird thing to say.
Yeah, but you like, I can tell when you like, it's so obvious when you're not sleeping and you're unhappy about it because you toss and turn every 5 seconds and go,
I know.
You sigh.
And that's
it's like, yeah, we get it, Sam.
But that's me trying to be like respectful and like not be loud. Oh, it's Helena the kitten. If you're not watching this on YouTube, Kristie did just pick up Helena the cat. It's a white cat. And her name is Helen, but I call her Helena.
I wanted to say hi.
Oh, hi, hello, Helena. Hello, Helena.
She's been super lovey to me lately. She has been cuddling
you're
me
her
more
new
than Sam.
mama. Well, this is going so off the rails, so I'm just going to keep it going off the rails. Kristie.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
You and I both love Call Her Daddy with Alex Cooper. Did you see that she's hosting live Olympics coverage?
Yes, but I didn't watch it. I haven't watched it yet. Can you rewatch it? Probably.
I bet it's like on the NBC Peacock app or whatever it's streaming on.
Yeah, I know. I want to watch it because she watched the game yesterday.
She did,
on it, right?
Yeah, she had Preston Tobin on, and they told her like all about their relationship forming during their player days. And now I'm kind of like, she should have you and Sam on to watch the U.S. game with her.
Oh, I would like love that. Honestly, I listen to one of her podcasts every day. Like I'm back even in her old podcast, and I like listen to her really crazy ones. And I listen to it every day when I'm on my way to training, and I just absolutely love it. I cackle. I literally cackle. Like, she's so funny. I would die. But
I know she's hilarious. She is really funny. Well, if you ever run out of Call Her Daddy podcast, your sister makes a podcast too that you could also listen to.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
If I'm lucky. Okay, well, back to the soccer here, everybody. This U.S. versus Australia game. It's on Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern time on USA, Universo, and Peacock. Kristie, what do you think is going to happen? Is it going to be 6-5? If the U.S. wins, is Sam going to like inch away from you on the couch? Like, what's going to happen in this game?
I don't know. Do I have to like say a score that I think it's going to be?
Yeah,
or just like how do I think it's going to go overall?
Yeah, like who do you think is going to win, and what do you think the vibes are going to be like in your house?
The vibes will be warm and cozy until the game starts.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that the U.S. is going to win if they're going to continue to play like that. But I also think that this is like literally Australia has to win this one. So they're going to like put their best foot forward, and they're going to like be scary. Like they are going to be scary, but I do think that the US are like even scarier right now. So I think I'm going to say the score will be
3-0. 3-0 US. I got that. Okay, cool. Well, Kristie, thank you so much for joining me. We're really excited. We're going to be with you again. I hope this is in your calendar. Immediately after the final whistle of the USA-Australia game on the Women's Game YouTube channel for a live reaction show together, you and me, right after this game that you're going to watch with Sam Kerr. I've had a lot of incredible footballers on from around the world coming on my show, and today feels really, really special because I was able to do it with you, my sister. I feel like we've always been each other's biggest fans, and that is true even now, even though you don't listen to every single one of my episodes. But Kristie, thank you so much for doing this and for supporting me, and I'll do whatever I have to do to get you on here more often. Do you want to say hi to Mom and Dad really quick?
Okay. Hi, Mom and Dad. It's your daughters. We're on a podcast together. We love you guys so much. And we hope that you enjoyed, and we just love you.
That's so nice, Crete. Really, really sweet. Okay, everybody, make sure you're subscribed and that you have notifications turned on so you don't miss us. Also, please subscribe to our podcast feed wherever you get your podcasts. You can also follow along with us on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Threads at Women's Game MIB. This has been Going for Gold, a podcast brought to you by the Women's Game and Allstate. Thank you all so much for being here. Kristie, thank you. We will see everybody tomorrow.
Bye.